Of great importance, I, Kenneth Lamar Smith, suffix II, have had my parents falsely accuse me or otherwise they have bore false witness against me in many an instance, and I have provided an intelligent and reasonable response to many an inquiry that they have that they unreasonably dismiss and otherwise make an effort to speak over, and it becomes, not a conversation, but a discussion, or really an argument in the most, proper terminology or something of the variety. It becomes more of a shouting match against my enjoyment and want, as I was correct and reasonable and right in most of those prior instances. I do not have mental health issues. My parents, despite being, somewhat middle class, what may you themselves, against reason and correctness and being right more often than not, have decided to not purchase me new clothing, musical equipment, a motor vehicle, many a thing that, if provided that, I would have been able to enrich my own life and become more independent. I would have been able to procure my own clothing of my personal liking, choosing, a motor vehicle of my choosing and preference, musical equipment of my preference, musical instruments, electric guitars, mind you, guitar amplifiers of my preference. Though I was not able to do that because my parents refused to provide me funds in regards to those. And when I inquired with them and requested the sufficient funds or otherwise the currency, the money to procure those items myself, they made a great, argument about it or a fuss about it, what may you, unreasonably so. In particular, my mom, my mother, what may you, in regards to that, because for some reason, unbeknownst to me, they do not want me to buy my own food or clothes or musical equipment or motor vehicle, despite the fact that I have not ever stolen money from them. I've considered it, I've ruminated upon it, I have not thefted money from my parents. Good for me. Yeah, and despite that, they've treated me like a criminal or something of the variety. And to my knowledge, it has a great amount to do with them being talked over and otherwise the conversation and discussion in the public environments and settings that they occupy or otherwise are present in throughout the week and from day to day. In particular, even the church is of mention, as even at the church, the pastor, what may you, does not have the most constructive things to say. That's why I stopped attending it, because it ultimately, to my knowledge and perception, and to that of other members of the congregation during that prior time, began to equate to just shouting certain incendiary Bible verses and not much of anything that was truly constructive or otherwise beneficial. And most of the congregation was elderly, so my assumption or otherwise presumption is that many of them still attended out of normality and out of a communal sense to meet members of their community, age-old friends, church congregation members that they have befriended, for many a year, and they continue to see them regularly there. It's a gathering place of a variety. I chose to not do that because it was just that unconstructive to me, and I had began to be stalked there by a group of individuals or individuals, what may you, who are complete strangers to me and continue to be, against my enjoyment and want. So I stopped attending in regards to that, though I had already began to accrue or otherwise accumulate a myriad or otherwise numerous reasons to not go, to just stop attending. Do I want to attend another church? No, because I simply do not have the time to do it or the resources. I do not have my own motor vehicle or the sufficient funds to procure something so simple as a Uber, Lyft, or a taxi, or a rideshare, or similar of any variety to go to a church or to a religious building or what may you. I simply do not have the means to do that, and I have zero friends, so there is not a matter of networking or anything of the variety. Yeah, against my enjoyment and want. And thusly, yeah, it's been pretty unsatisfactory and against my enjoyment and want most of what's happened while I've been a resident in Loudoun County. In particular, when I was a resident still residing in my parents' home in my bedroom there. That was also under a constant threat by my mom or my mother, what may you, who did make many a threat over the years. Something so simple as maybe a shirt that I did not put in the laundry that was still on my bedroom floor or maybe on my bathroom floor, something of the variety. She would just begin to scream, just, why is your room so disgusting? You never do anything to help around the house with your life. What may you, etc. The extreme hyperbole to the to the extremity of just having bore false witness. And despite me paying utility bills at my parents' home in excess of hundreds of dollars, she still continued to, spite me and say horribly negative things about me. Oh, you're lazy. You never help around the house. You never do anything. That variety of phrasing, that manner of talking, speech, what may you, that is horribly damaging to me and was and probably is to some, and it has some residual effect in addition to the trauma that is inflicted upon me in prior time and in relatively recent time against my enjoyment and want. Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Paloma Anaya Maldonado. I'm not a fan of comedy or stand-up comedy or something of the variety. Oh, I don't like jokes. No, I really do not. It's not a joke. I do not enjoy rap music more often than not because it does not suit my sensibilities, or otherwise I do not find it agreeable, as more often than not the focus is primarily on the lyricism, as the instrumentation is relatively simple, though in more recent time the instrumentation has become quite complex on some rap songs, and I find that interesting. Though more interesting to me is creating my own music with a musical instrument of my choice, and that is electric guitar. And I've chose to do that with most of my spare time, as I have zero friends to discuss anything with, to catch up on things with, or something of that variety. And I'm not an alcoholic or a drug addict, so yeah, it's just guitar pretty much. And I don't sell drugs either. I'm not a drug dealer either. And I'm not trafficking women or trafficking drugs or something of the variety, or soliciting prostitutes, because I do not want to. It's not some great, oh, I'm repressing this. No, I simply do not want to. I lost interest in it during my teenage years because I had horribly abusive experiences that were predicated upon those behaviors and otherwise patterns. Yeah, it's not a big deal to me. Yeah, to many who actually had friends, yeah, I guess it would be a big deal to them. Well, man, it's difficult. People actually like me. Something of the variety. I cannot say the same. Couldn't be me because it's not. Yeah, I'm not into Kabbalah. I don't practice Kabbalah or something of the variety. Yeah, I'm not a sorcerer, despite Paloma Anaya Maldonado's unhinged and otherwise mentally insane perception of me being one prior time many years ago. I was on a nature walk, for lack of better terminology, in a natural park or something of the variety, and she began to be under the suspicion that I was controlling wind with my mind or something of the variety. Yeah, okay, so there was a breeze, and mind you, there had been a number of gusts. Yeah, wind breezes, strong wind breezes, wind currents, what may you. That day, on the way there, prior to leaving to go to that park, during, the walk at the park, many instances prior to that happening. And then she said, oh, what, are you doing that? Or are you doing magic? Are you being a sorcerer or something of that variety? So, to put it lightly and politely, absolutely mentally unsound, perception of it, take what may you. Though there is also the greater detail that she is probably extremely prejudiced and otherwise racist. That is also a huge primary factor and something to definitely look into, because it's obviously a correlative factor, if not a causative one, primarily. Which would be further events and the fact that she was, rapping along with the song with her friends, or what may everyone was simply an acquaintance to me during that prior time in that motor vehicle. And she said, oh, nigger. She said, yeah, simply as such. And I and another young black American there, Jaleesa Renee Chen, took great issue with it. said, "How could you say that?" Paloma said, "Oh, I didn't think that." Yeah, hence me breaking up with Paloma shortly thereafter and ending the relationship because she just became more and more abusive. Was I seeing the real her or something on the variety? Somewhat, though. To my knowledge, more of that was predicated on complete strangers to me being a horrible influence on her. Most of her friends were, drug addicts or otherwise alcoholics, and LGBT, alignment may have also been a factor in that. What may you? So yeah, she was obviously having a lot of discussions or otherwise being talked to by people, individuals, groups, what may you, of ill repute. Of ill repute, more often than not, which I'm sure did not do anything to clarify matters in regards to her mental well-being and otherwise lifestyle, and only compounded the negative issues that she had with herself and others in regards to interpersonal relations and connections and the quality of those connections. Yeah, I'm not into purple either. Yeah, further in regards to the Rafael the Castro with Mayu in Leesburg, Virginia, who was a restaurant manager. No, I do not want to be castrated. No, it's not funny. No, I'm not an Asian woman. No, I'm not a black woman. What Mayu? I'm not. I'm simply not. It's not funny. I do not want synthetic dreams or something of the variety. I do not want to be harassed by electronic methodologies or otherwise technological weaponry or something of the variety. I do not. I'm not Illuminati. Oh yes, of importance, I had a Tumblr and I decided to name it Ego Death because I was doing personal refinement and I had read about what ego death was and what may you, and essentially to me, in my perception, it equated to a deep and otherwise a extreme variety of introspection when it was not sought out by artificial means, commonly known as LSD or acid, lysergic acid, what may you, and similar, psychedelic drugs or something of the variety. I have not ever done LSD or used it or sold it, despite being around groups or otherwise individuals who had. I have not done acid or sold acid or LSD or something of the variety, and I do not want to at all. Despite me visiting Richmond, Virginia, with a Paloma and Maldonado in prior time many years ago, and there was a complete stranger who ran out, towards me, near me physically, while Paloma and her friend were off doing something. What may you? And he said that he had done acid and all of his friends had left him and he didn't know where any of his friends were. I did not do LSD or acid ever in my life. Yeah, it's against my enjoyment and want. It's not ever something I wanted for myself. I wanted to simply create my own music and have a regular job, what may you, gainful income, gainful employment, and create music in my spare time and just do that indefinitely. Yeah, why not pursue romances and physical sex, what may you? Because the women who were romantic interests to me tormented me, and even the women who were not, all of them being my peers or slightly younger during that prior time, yeah, were horribly abusive and nasty towards me. And they weren't antagonize me. They genuinely hated me. They genuinely disliked me. Yeah, and made an effort to ruin my life. It's not a joke. Yeah, it's not flirting or, it's just a prank. It's not. They were making an effort to destroy my life and those similar to me. Against my enjoyment and want. I do not have any friends from Heritage High School, as many would phrase it. I do not want to go to a school reunion because I hate everyone that ever attended there. Hate is a strong word, though. I'm quite indifferent. They're all acquaintances to me, mere acquaintances. And thusly, I do not have a strong enough compulsion or want to ever attend a school reunion there. Yeah, more often than not, I would just be disgusted. Oh, I remember when you harassed me. I remember when you harassed me. Yeah, pretty much just that ad infinitum. Just standing there, just looking around at, yeah, groups of individuals who harassed me in prior time against my enjoyment or want. Thusly, making a school reunion not my enjoyment or want.